You're watching Ready Set Drone, and we have had our hands on the Antigravity A1 for a couple of weeks now, and we have a lot of thoughts, so stay tuned. The Antigravity A1 is a 360 camera drone that does a lot of things you can't do with a normal drone. It is sub 250 grams, which means that you can fly it without registration if you're flying it for hobby purposes, not as a pro. It's got a unique look, it's got unique flight characteristics, and the fact that it's 360 makes it unique in the drone world. It isn't like any other drone I've seen before. And because it's a 360 drone, there's a camera on the top and a camera on the bottom, and there's basically an invisible area in between the cameras that the cameras don't see, and that's how you get the 360 view with that stitch line. Now that can be a little problematic when you're really close to things. It can create a little bit of an overlap, but for the most part, if you're flying at a decent distance away from things, more than 10 feet, 3 meters or so, it looks really good. Because it is a 360 drone, you can't just pull footage off of it and use it immediately. You have to run it through a process using the Antigravity software. If you've used 360 footage before, and you've done this before with other 360 cameras and software, then you probably know what to do. If you haven't, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but the Antigravity software is actually very, very tailored to drone work. So they make it easy once you learn some basics to do some really cool stuff. But just keep in mind, this isn't a regular camera drone, and every bit of footage that you shoot will have to be post-produced before you can do anything with it. It's a blessing and a curse because the post-production requires some time and a little bit of effort, but you can do a lot of things, and it's very versatile what you can do with the footage. I also want to talk about these goggles. They're very unique. I've never seen FPV goggles like this before. Now, this is not an FPV drone that you can fly in acro mode and do dives and all kinds of crazy stuff with, but it is still a first-person view. What's cool about these goggles is, first of all, they have a screen on the outside that allows someone with you to see what you're seeing, also to see things like software updates and stuff like that someone who's not wearing the goggles can actually see. Interesting, there's a path that goes into the water, or is this flooded? Oh wow, look at that, the trail's flooded. Oh wow. The trail is underwater. That's what's going on. That whole kayak rental area is underwater. These do have these adjustable eyepieces so that you can adjust for the width of your pupils as well as for your eyes. If you're someone that needs glasses, you can actually make some adjustments to make the image sharper and you don't have to wear your glasses. It has a defogging device in it, which I think is really awesome on hot, humid days, which we have here in Texas. You can turn that defogger on and it will get rid of all the fog in the goggles, which I think every pair of goggles should have going forward. Oh, look at that. Yeah, a little fan comes on. I hear it, I feel it, and it's defogging. And they're pretty lightweight because the battery's not integrated into them. The battery is actually on a separate lanyard, and that connects to these. So you're wearing the lanyard around your neck, and you're not putting the weight of the battery on your head. On one of my first flights with the A1, I accidentally discovered that it has voice commands, and it was a pretty cool moment. Hey, A1, take off. So the voice commands are very handy because the menu systems tend to be very deep. And if you don't want to have to open the menu, scroll to something, click on it, set the parameters, and do all that, you just give it a voice command and it'll do whatever you told it to do. And there's variations on the voice commands. You can say begin recording, you can say start recording, you can say stop recording, you can say end recording, and it will automatically figure out what you're talking about. It kind of has lots of prompts programmed into it, which makes it easier than trying to remember, is it start or begin? Either one will work. So to trigger voice commands, you tap this little button on the side and you'll get a little circle, kind of like you might on your phone when you're asking your phone a question and it responds to your voice command. This button also serves to give you a pass-through view, which is a cool feature on these goggles that allows you to actually see through this little camera right here what's going on in front of you. Sometimes with the goggles, your situational awareness is not great, so double tapping this lets you look around and see what's actually in front of you and which direction you're facing, because you might have lost that. Let's talk for a second about the controller. This one is unique in that it has a wheel that you turn to yaw the drone and to do some other things. I had a little trouble figuring out where all the buttons were on this. This is a C1 and C2 are over on this side, and this is your menu button over on this side. It took a moment for me to kind of figure out where they were. You just have to practice with it. But it has cinema mode, normal mode, and sport mode, which is right here on this switch. Has a record button, has a braking button, has a take a photo button, all the usual things that one of these controllers might have. I wish that they did have a normal 2-stick controller, just like every other drone that I've flown before in the past. There are rumors that a new RC accessory is coming out soon, which will expand the drone's ecosystem. But for now, the grip controller is our only option. Some people love it, some people hate it. You just get used to it, and once you get used to it, it's not that hard to do. And speaking of getting used to things, it starts in a mode called free motion. Now, free motion is not really that. Free motion is actually the opposite, in my opinion. You have to turn your body in order to see which direction the drone is going, or to actually turn the drone. It's a weird sensation. You have to be standing up to do it, and I'm not a big fan. But you can easily switch into FPV mode, and FPV mode gives you the ability to just rotate your wrist, and as you rotate your wrist, the drone yaws left or right. That gives you the ability to fly a lot more precisely than free motion. I think they were thinking of free motion as a way for beginners to get started because it seems intuitive, but to me it's not intuitive. It actually is the opposite, and I would recommend just going into FPV mode all the time. And good news, you can switch between FPV and free motion in the voice commands. Switch to FPV mode. So while this has great 360 capabilities and can record amazing 8K footage that you can turn into 360 footage or turn into just normal footage, the flight characteristics are a little lacking. It flies fine. It stays in place. It has plenty of satellites and GPS. It'll lock in. It's very precise. It has omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, but it doesn't currently fly backwards, only forwards, sideways, up and down, no matter which way you turn your head while wearing the goggles. And we did a test where we were tracking Chris on a bicycle, and it did just fine getting around trees that went under him. You can also set your obstacle avoidance to brake, meaning it just stops if it sees an obstacle, or to go around it and figure out a way to pass it, which it also did great at. But for me, the flying of it is not quite as smooth as some other drones I've flown. Maybe it's just a matter of getting used to this controller and also figuring out that FPV mode is the way to go. It's not terrible, it's just not quite as good as I've been used to on some other drones. Yeah, the trees are underwater. Oh, I think this field over here is partly submerged. Wow. It looks like a swamp down there. Drone signal may be obstructed, fly with caution. Yeah, it's really not great range, at least compared to what we're used to. I mean, there's a couple of trees between us and it, but you can see where we are home-wise. And also there's a little bit of lag in the screen. Like you just get a little bit of a hesitation every so often. It's like it's not quite transmitting in real time. I should keep in mind that it is capturing 360 degrees of footage, which is a lot of data. So that lag is probably due to all that processing. Yeah, so in FPV mode, the flying characteristics are pretty good with this controller. I mean, you just turn your wrist and it just turns. Of course, because it's a 360 camera, you're always recording all directions, so the turning doesn't really matter for your footage, but at least it is easy to direct while you're trying to fly it. In free motion mode, it just is a lot more clunky to fly. I'll demonstrate. Switch to free motion mode. Okay, now I'm in free motion mode. So now turning my wrist doesn't do anything. It just keeps going forward. You have to actually turn your body. Like to fly this direction, I have to turn this direction. And to fly this direction, I have to turn. Now, I have no idea which direction I'm actually facing in real life, but I am facing us on the screen. Like I'm facing the home point on the screen. So it's coming back towards us now. I don't know, to me, that doesn't feel very natural. And again, if you were seated, like you were sitting in a lawn chair or something trying to fly, which is a good idea sometimes with goggles because it makes some people kind of dizzy. Now, while I've found the flying experience not the best, there are going to be firmware updates and updates to the software that might help it fly a little bit smoother and a little bit better. But right now, I would say that it's a little bit more difficult to fly than another drone, particularly one with 2 sticks. One more thing I want to note as kind of a negative. This landing gear is necessary because what it does is it protects the lenses, which you have a lens on the bottom, and when it comes down, it can't land on that lens, or it shouldn't. I would always use the landing pad with this, by the way, for a couple of reasons, but mostly to protect that lens. But this landing gear is not down by default. It kind of goes up and down. As a matter of fact, when the drone is folded, it's up and you can set it down. But when it is unfolded, this might be up. And if you set it down, you're going to set that lens down on whatever's going on. So really be careful with this landing gear. It's supposed to be smart enough to go down when it lands on its own, which it does. But if you get this thing out, unfold it, and the landing gear is still up, you have to manually pull it down before you set it down on a table or on anything so you don't scratch the lenses. But the good news is the lenses are user replaceable. And so if you happen to scratch a lens, you can get a replacement kit and replace them yourself. Antigravity has a repair center in California and promises reliable return and repair services. We haven't tried it ourselves, but it is nice to know that for us here in the US, we don't have to ship the drone overseas if we need any repairs to be done. Another couple of cool things about it, it has 20 gigs of internal storage. Now, 2 years ago, that would have been really cool. 5 years ago, that would have been amazing. Today, 20 gigs is a little sparse, and with 8K footage, you use that up really quickly, so you're gonna need an external micro SD card. There are some recommended ones that you can put into it, but ultimately, 20 gigs is your just in case, hey, I forgot my card, I need to get some footage. That's actually what happened to me in Missouri. I didn't have a card in it, and I ended up filling up my 20 gigs pretty quickly, but I got some decent shots that I couldn't have got if it hadn't had that 20 gigs of internal storage. The goggles also have screen recording built in, which is great. If you're trying to show what's going on, switching the screen recording on, you can do that with your voice command, which is awesome. But that screen recording in the goggles is a really nice thing to have because sometimes a screen recording is a lot better to demonstrate what you're trying to show versus just the actual recording from the footage. And screen recordings, by the way, are just a regular video file. You don't have to do any posts to them because you're basically seeing what the screen was seeing. So if you're flying one direction and looking another, you'll be seeing the direction you were looking. So don't count on screen recordings to replace the 360 footage, but they can be used to augment it, especially if you're trying to demonstrate something. And another cool thing that we've never seen before is that screen recordings include your voice. So if you're talking and commenting on something and doing a screen recording, it will actually record your voice in pretty decent quality with noise cancellation and stuff. So it sounds decent enough to use in a video. There's plenty of examples of it in this video. Those were being recorded by the goggles as I was talking and flying. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. We got a little sign that it had to go around, some trees it had to avoid. Is he going to turn around and go back on the sidewalk? I guess he is. So this is going to whip around and go in front of him again. I have to physically turn my body around again to be able to see him. Whoa. Hey. So in addition to just normal flying, sport mode flying, or cinematic flying, you can also switch into automated modes. It'll do things like pull away from you, take off straight up above you, do things where it tracks a subject and does it with the precision of GPS and the actual flight controller using all the computers at its disposal. These are great to get more difficult things like orbits very precisely. So yeah, you can see here it's got these different options. The anti-gravity line is like the little flip around. Fly away is the fly away. The ascend we just did, it goes straight up. And then the spiral ascent, it goes up in kind of a spiral circle as it climbs, all programmable using the buttons. It also has a function called SkyPath, which I believe is kind of like waypoints. We didn't test that yet, but we will in a future video. We're just kind of doing an overview here to give you some of the highlights of what this thing is like to fly, but we are definitely going to do more videos that include some of those features that we haven't covered yet. And there are a couple of sort of gimmicky features that are fun, and I kind of went down a rabbit hole with one of them. Take a look. So one other thing is this menu button here. If you press and hold it, you can get to this quick menu. And that allows you to kind of go through these different things that you can change: the screen recording, gallery, obstacle avoidance, FPV mode, camera parameters, and open cockpit. I don't know what open cockpit is. To enable virtual cockpit, switch to FPV mode. Okay, I've switched to FPV mode. Oh, goodness, this gives you a dragon that you're sitting on. Okay, let me go ahead and take off. And
home point updated.
I am on a dragon. Yeah, let me see. Can I see this dragon's tail? Oh yeah, I see the wings. Wow. And see the tail? Oh, look at that. That is all kinds of silly. One cool thing about the batteries is this is touch sensitive. So if you touch it, you'll get some lights that show you how much battery you have left. I don't know if you can see that green, but it's basically allowing you to see you have 3 out of 4 lights left, and you don't have to hit it hard. Also, if you put this into the charger, you can get your actual battery percentage, which is nice as well. I do like that they included this little shell for it. I love a good little clamshell. And so when you fold it down, you're just gonna fold everything back. You don't have to worry about putting some sort of protector on the lens because the lens is protected in this case and it just fits right in. The landing gear has to be up. You would be able to set it down now because these 2 little spikes that are sticking out here, it wouldn't hit the lens, but it's very close. Just be careful. But it's nice because it just fits right in that little case. This case closes up and then goes into a bag. And the bag is actually quite nice. The goggles also come with these protectors to keep them from getting any burns if you're out in the sun, which is really important if you live in Texas or Florida or someplace like that.
Put this in, and this has currently 3 batteries in it. And this just closes up with some Velcro. And then if you decide to take a road trip with it, you're good to go. So who is the Antigravity A1 drone for? Well, that's a good question. It's not your typical drone because it's a 360 drone and it uses a controller that's different than a lot of other RC things use. You have to get used to those things and you have to be ready to do the work for post-production in order to make the footage usable. But what you can do with the footage is amazing. If you're comfortable on a computer or if you've edited 360 footage before, you could do it all day long. If it's new to you, there's going to be a learning curve, so keep that in mind. Also, if you already own a couple of drones, this might be a nice addition because it's totally different with the 360 footage and opens up a lot of doors and possibilities. It's very quiet. It's pretty unobtrusive when you're flying out at a park or something. People might not even notice as you're flying above, which is nice. Of course, be polite when you're flying your drone and don't fly right over people, but it is nice that it doesn't make a huge buzzing noise when it takes off. It's pretty quiet. So tell us what you think about the Antigravity A1. I know it's been out for a little while. We're just now getting our hands on it. We plan to do more videos to cover more features and stuff like that. But leave a comment below. We'll be sure to respond. And thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Ready, Set, Drone.